Most people really do want the best for other people, and there are so many who are supportive and happy for you when you grow, and they work hard on themselves to grow too. But there are also people, and they're right in our midst, who want you, who think they need you to stay down, to stay hurt and victimized, basically forever. They're not always even conscious of what they're doing, but you can sure sense it. When you hang out with them, you have to kind of shield yourself, or they make little criticisms that they disguise as wanting to help you, or after you spend time with them, you don't know why, but you feel bad about yourself. You feel discouraged. So these are all signs that that's the kind of person you're dealing with. Part of changing your life for the better is going to mean armoring yourself against discouragers and naysayers and general a-holes who see your progress, who learn about what you're working on and how you're making positive changes, and they want to take you down, right? They see that beautiful light of hope that's glowing around you, and they want to turn it off. And this kind of negativity is horrible, but unfortunately it is common. And it happens all the time to anyone who takes a big step up. So I'll tell you what I think is going on with that. First, though, do not forget that making positive changes always requires some optimism. It requires perseverance and confidence that what you're doing actually can make a difference. And I think sometimes people have no idea how precious and fragile these conditions are for healing, how easy it is to squash it in someone with a few unkind words. People can be insensitive to that, and they think that you should be tougher than that. But if you had trauma in your past, you're probably very good at acting like everything's okay. Even when someone's putting you down, you hide it for them. Chances are you're good at not saying anything when people hurt you like that. Instead of anger, you go into confusion. Because inside there's the voice of an inner critic that is only too ready to agree with some jerk who's putting you down. Now, hearing thoughtful criticism from people who care about you can be a good thing. It's not always easy, but it can be very valuable. With people whose motivation is envy or competition, or they feel threatened by your progress, their put-downs have no value to you at all. And when you put up a boundary with them, you aren't avoiding constructive criticism. You're protecting that place in you that has the confidence to keep going, to make sure that you have that confidence tomorrow. Now, the open-minded part of you that can be self-reflective, that can identify shortcomings in yourself that you want to work on, that is also what you're protecting. You're protecting your ability to do that, to criticize yourself in a constructive way. Now, you do need self-reflection, but you also need encouragement from other people. You need hope, and sometimes that comes from other people believing in you. When you come from a hard past and you come off as put together and all healed, people don't see that, of course, there's stuff that's not healed. Now, some people who are traumatized, it is very obvious that there's stuff that's not healed. And with them also, it's hard to get people to be sensitive and to believe in you. The residual hopelessness of your past remains for many years and can be a big part of what you're going to need to do to keep working on. In my own healing, this was a surprise to me, that it wasn't obvious that I was, to other people, that I was so vulnerable to put downs. I thought it was obvious, it would floor me, but I wouldn't register it on my face. I would go out of my way to act like, no, that's fine. I understand. That's fine. And the stronger I get and the better my life becomes, the better I can balance. When people say something unkind to me, it's balanced with so many good things that people have said. And so, I have strength against it. But in the past, when I was making my very first little steps toward healing from trauma, and I still had very little support, nasty comments could just destroy me. They would hit me very hard, break me down sometimes, make me want to give up and give in to my pessimism that changing my life could ever possibly happen. I just want to tell you, it's realistic to believe that healing really is possible. Healing has happened in huge ways in my life, and it keeps on going. Now, I'm a work in progress, so are you, but we are very productive works in progress. We're doing it. So why would people try to stop us from improving our own lives? Let's go through some of the reasons. Basically, if you heal It messes up a whole lot of people's paradigm. Believing that childhood trauma is a permanent tragedy, it's a life sentence, it's something that dooms us to sickness and depression and poverty. It's kind of a protection for them. They fear that you are going to disappoint them, and they feel like they can't handle one more disappointment. If they're very hurt and very fragile, they might be feeling subconsciously that they have to be super careful about believing anybody who comes along, believing you if you say, hey, I've got a solution, I'm feeling better. Well, they've been burned before, they've been manipulated, they're not yet in a place where they can trust their judgment yet, and so they behave defensively. So if you come along and you say, hey, I've been working on myself and I'm getting this great new perspective and I'm feeling hopeful, well, they don't feel happy for you. They feel scared for themselves. It feels like more BS and more manipulation. They believe, usually wrongly, but understandably, that they have to push you back. They have to make you stop saying that. They have to help you stay safe by telling you the truth. Like, you shouldn't believe that. That's not going to happen. For a lot of people, having hope has not always been safe. It's been a disaster. It's caused them to get hurt. So in a weird way, they actually are trying to help you, but you shouldn't listen. Traumatized people have often had their perceptions damaged. They can't tell a trustworthy person from an abuser. It's horrible when your trust is abused. You think you can't trust anything. So that's a big part of healing from CPTSD, is gaining back your powers of perception and discernment so that you can sense red flags about people who are out to hurt you, or more commonly, people, they don't mean harm, but they just don't get it. And they give you advice that they heard on TV and maybe even it worked for them, but it's totally irrelevant to you. And I think that's been the experience for a lot of us as we sought help for healing the effects of hurtful experiences in the past. The depression, the anxiety, the relationship problems, the isolation that we've been through. But if you're watching this video, then at least you're someone who's trying to get information and learn. You decide what information is useful to you, right? And what you're going to try on for size in your life. The best kind of healing support teaches you to use your best judgment and apply lessons to your situation. The same way that you should filter what you learn from me. That filter that you use for me would be the same you use for people who are discouraging you, because that's their experience. That's their system for handling reality when it's hard. You will always get to be sovereign over what you let in as part of how you approach your healing. Now, we all know people who cling to an identity as a victim. And a lot of people complain that, these days everybody thinks they're a victim. I just had somebody say ugly stuff on YouTube today and I took it out. And I know what they're saying. I know what they're trying to say. There's a kernel of truth. It's not everybody, but yes, some people do that. It's definitely some people. Some people really are victims as well, and they are in the middle of dealing with something terrible, so that judgment of them is definitely not helpful. What they're going through is fair and real. But we're talking here, when people are criticizing, we're talking about people who appear not to have it so bad, who act as if you get a bonus, you're a very special person if you're a victim. And so maybe they exaggerate it, or they want everybody to know about something. I know what that is. I suppose I've played a card before about it. When I wanted people not to judge me, I wanted a pass for having trauma. It has happened, but I'll tell you, that's a very tiny proportion. Like, mostly I was trying to cover how traumatized and messed up I was in my life. But the past can come in handy, like, well, I'm late all the time, but I'm a single mom and I just can't really handle everything because I'm a victim. And so it's something that I've done before. And I think when we sense that in other people, it troubles us. We feel a little bit manipulated, right? It's possible to get too identified with past trauma to the point that it keeps you from healing and it holds you back. And if you've ever been in that place, you know how easy it is to, miss a lot of information. You can't really see the big picture. You can't see the good things or the possibilities and the ways that you might be able to focus your thinking and your actions in a way that would help get you, forward out of the problems and actually having a joyful life. So it's hard to be around people sometimes who seem attached to their trauma, to stay in that place, believing there's no way out, while totally not seeing that there's a pathway. So sometimes you're going to be dealing with people like that. This is their identity. They are not seeing that if they're ever going to change their life situation, their participation is going to be required. You have to be present to win. And so, people who are in that space feel bad, they feel hopeless, and they think somebody must be doing this to them because they're trying pretty hard and that's their experience. And when they're feeling blame like that, they will often blame the person who's standing right in front of them. And if that's you, that's what's going to happen. They're not going to want you to heal. They feel threatened by what you're doing. And here's the thing. When someone in that bad place sees you, you're smiling, you're glowing because good things are happening for you, they compare themselves to you and they feel badly about themselves. And because this isn't really on a conscious level, it's just kind of grooved into their thinking at this point. They think that bad feeling they have, that you are making them feel that. So you're just saying your experience, you're not really, you're just saying, hey, something good happened. They hear it as an invalidation of their experience. They can't hear the difference. And you do not have to do anything about that. You don't have to babysit them on it or, correct their experience. They're not going to hear the difference anyway. That your positive state is not an evaluation of their negative state. They're in too much pain to separate the two right now, and they can't be glad for you, and they definitely can't learn from you. So when this happens, what should you do? Okay, if you're very, very advanced, you can try to give them a little acknowledgement and validation, not agreeing that everything is hopeless, but just understanding, yeah, that does sound really, that would make me feel hopeless too. And feeling that, that you don't have to try to change it for them. Remember, trying to tell people to change how they feel about something feels like invalidation. Like, yeah, that sounds really hard. If you try to encourage someone who's really invested at that moment with proving that they're stuck, then you're basically saying to them that, it's your fault. You should be another way than you are. Can't you be different than you are? And they can't right now. So your encouragement can feel like invalidation. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just hear them, let them know you heard how they're feeling and go, yeah, that sounds hard. It's understandable. So it's a form of discretion not to go pushing solutions on people, even when 100% it could help them. And honestly, we actually don't know what people need in any given moment. It helps them so much to have space to figure it out for themselves, get their own answers. Now, if someone is asking you for your advice, whoa, that's another story. Now you can share. In any case, people with CPTSD, including you and me, are sensitive to discouragement. We're sensitive to encouragement, and we're sensitive to discouragement. And, look at how we got CPTSD in the first place. And yet, the people who were encouraging and safe for us when we were kids, they are one of the biggest factors in our overcoming the bad things that happen. It's called resilience. So some people go through, X amount of trauma and it destroys them. Others go through the exact same trauma and they kind of do okay. And that is referred to as resilience. So different people have different amounts. It's never too late to strengthen your resilience. And this means sticking with people who encourage you. Encouragement is medicine, by the way. Discouragement is poison. And you got to stay away from the people who discourage you. Don't even fight those naysayers. Don't get into philosophical arguments with them. Just, walk away. You can tell them kindly that you understand how they feel and then remove yourself. And believe me, I've had to do this all my life, and putting my story and my thoughts out on YouTube, you've probably seen it. People will say the meanest, most judgy, condemning things. Last week, someone said, I hate it when you do the letters. Because if you watch the channel, I answer people's letters a couple times a week. And they said, it's obvious they're all written by the same person. And so even though they're all fake, I think your channel's great. I was like, what? That part that it was like, you're a fraud. But thank you for your content. It's helped so much. It just, it made me so angry. So they're, basically calling me a liar. And I was burning mad, and definitely I took it personally that they publicly accused me in front of all my viewers, of being fake, suggesting that to people. And I know I shouldn't care, right? And by the way, the letters are not fake. They're, the letters are 100% real. In fact, I get so many letters. If you've written me a letter and I never got back to you, that is why. For every letter I read, there's like 20 letters that I couldn't do. I just don't do that. I can't do that many. And they're very powerful, and they're very precious to me that people confide and share that story, and that they have the courage to share it in a way that they're giving me permission to read it on YouTube for the benefit of other people, which is amazing. And so I get offended. My own pride is offended when people put me down like that. But the fact that they're impugning and, negating the people who wrote the letters, I'm like, Mama Bear, So I'm really proud of the letter writers, and I got really upset about it. And then I just basically changed the settings so that person can watch videos and they can comment, but no one's ever going to see their comments again. Because that's just really crappy. I'm sorry. That's not cool. And we have a healing community here. And so just as in my personal life, to a certain amount, I'm going to shield myself from people tearing me down, trying to make me feel bad about myself, delegitimize me, slander my efforts. I do that for my community too. Like, this is a place where I want everybody to be able to encourage each other and not be afraid all the time that somebody's going to come in and, we get it. We get these catfishers. You'll see them. I'll see the same person. It's probably a fake name and photo, but they're like, "Hi, Carol, how are you doing?" And then it's like, "Oh, hi, Emily, how are you doing?" on every single comment. Those are catfishers, by the way. Ignore them. And sooner or later, we find them and we take them out too. But you get to have a boundary on people who are messing with your healing. They don't want you to heal. They don't care. In fact, a catfisher counts on you being desperate and lonely and willing to get involved with some stranger so that they can take money from you. So no, you're not allowed on my YouTube channel. We practice here encouraging each other, not criticizing, not comparing ourselves either, positively or negatively. It serves no one. When we have haters here. So when people, come into our community and try to exploit people or hurt them or put them down or make themselves above or go, "What is wrong with you people? It's only trauma. Everybody has trauma. Cut it out." Gosh, if I had $1 for every time somebody does that, I just remove them from the community. I don't want to do that. I don't feel great about it, but it's better than people getting hurt in the very place they've come to heal. And it's kind of like broken windows policing. If you let some people just start trashing others, it spreads. Everybody catches on. And that's what I'm watching happen in our comments section is some people just start to be kind and help each other. And then it just spreads. And all these people are like giving each other all these loving, supportive comments. And I get so much positive feedback about how much that's helped people, is to be in that kind of community. So yeah, we don't need people who come in trying to make us feel stupid or doomed or bad. One of the most powerful treatments for depression and trauma in the world is encouragement. Encouragement and validation given freely out of kindness. Anyone has this to give, and I hope you're able to give it and receive it here. This is a place for people who want to heal and who want others to heal too. You're capable of so much more than you realize. You're more than the bad things that happen to you, and you're more than the hurtful things that people have said to you. If you want to try an exercise to open your mind to what is possible for you in your life, I've got this worksheet. It's a PDF, it's downloadable, it's free, and it's called If You Had Just 1 Year to Heal. Now remember, nobody heals in a year, but it's just this thought exercise. If you had just 1 year, what would you do? And I've got that PDF download right here, and I will see you very soon.